The owners of Mascot Towers are considering selling the entire building. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Got my lunchtime coffee here that I'm finishing off, about to sit down and start some drafting for the day, when a viewer left a comment on one of my videos, thank you very much, highlighting the fact that the Mascot Towers owners are even contemplating or open to the idea of selling the entire building. Now, I've looked at this, well, sadly this disaster for quite some time. You can see here in my playlist, I've got over 22 videos looking at just all the issues that have happened in Mascot Towers. Looking at the fact that it's built on the Botany Sands and there's all contamination there, looking at it from a historical perspective. One thing I suggest you all take a look at is this video I did on the dilapidation report. Now this is the report done by the, and I'll turn the sound off and just play it, done by the development next door, where they went through, before they did any work, they had an assessment done of Mascot Towers to protect their own interest, and it became part of their submission as their town planning. Because when you're doing any construction work, and this is even if you're doing a small residential extension, it's worth getting a photographic record of the buildings next to you so they can't try and ping you for damage that was already pre-existing. And from this we can see there was a few issues here with Mascot. And even if you go further back, you can see on the Google comments and things, people raising issues about just leaking, accommodation problems there for years, for quite some time. So I feel quite sorry for anyone who's bought in there in recent times when all of this was out. The advice I give to people when looking at buying these type of things is maybe get a professional to go with you. Get a dilapidation report done by, you can get a building and pest inspection, but get a builder mate to go with you. Go down into the basement, see if you can see any remedial work, any repair work. Look for leaking, look for cracking. See if the building's been maintained. Just have a talk to people walking around, and they'll tell you. When we were looking at a property down the Gold Coast for my mother when she was downsizing, I just happened to ask someone who happened to be on the body corporate and mentioned that they were doing they had concrete cancer all through a portion of the basement that had to get repaired. And then when you buy in, you also buy into all the debts associated with it. So it looks like, well, this saga, I think the last video I did on it was apparently a $53 million repair bill they were looking at. And now they may be contemplating selling the entire building. And let's jump here and have a look at this article from the Sydney Morning Herald. Mascot Towers owners flag interest in sale of entire building. So if they sell the entire building with the reputation that it has, would anyone want to live there, guys? With the current demand for the market. And what we'll do is we'll just bring up this chart here, or this Google Earth here, and I'll bring up construction issues. And if we zoom in here, you can see all different projects where I've just been discussing, and Mascot Towers is one of the corners I call the triangle of fail here. Here you've got all the Botany Sands, all this contaminated sand here, and the groundwater is just slowly seeping down to Botany Bay. This used to be all the industrial area here. It's right near the airport. So I guess it's like Sydney's version of the castle, living right near the airport. It's really convenient. Really convenient. I wouldn't want to live there, to be honest. So let's have a look at this. Apartment owners in Sydney's damaged Mascot Towers high-rise have flagged that they are open to considering a sale of the entire building, as some who have lost their jobs during the pandemic lockdown face major financial difficulties. I mean, this is pretty tough on these people. Because, what are they going to do? It's going to be a demolition job, isn't it? Would you rectify it? Would you want to take the risk of rectifying it if you bought this? You'll be buying the land. And what's the demand like for apartments at the moment? Anywhere in the country, let alone Sydney right now, with predictions of Sydney's population growth to decrease. A clear majority of owners have voted in favour of investigating a collective sale of the building, which will allow the residents to explore numerous options, such as the end use of the building, the cost and time frame for selling. Owners had to vote by last Wednesday on a motion to allow the Owners Corporation to look at options for the 132-unit block in Sydney South almost a year after they were evacuated due to severe cracking in its main support structure. Should it become the preferred option, a sale of the entire building is not a fait accompli, because support from almost all owners will be needed to avoid protracted legal proceedings. These little socialist utopias that are these buildings, aren't they? They're a nightmare, these body corporates. They really are. I feel sorry for the people that are trapped in this situation. I mean, imagine downsizing, putting all your money into it, paying a fortune for a little dog box near the airport. Hey, at least, well, no, they're not in them. They're not in them. At least it's not like Sugar Cube, with all the contamination they have there. Or Zetland, that no one ever seems to talk about, that was just abandoned. So, for it really to be viable, we would need just about everyone on board, because it would be a long and drawn-out process otherwise, apartment owner Brian Tucker said. We would have to take it to court. It might take years. I mean, what would you do, guys, if you were in this situation? If you had one of these apartments, would you want to sell the whole thing? Would you want to try and rectify it? Would you want to repair it? I mean, is chucking $56 million at Mascot Towers? Let's jump onto the Google Street View and have a look at it. Is chucking another $56 million chucking good money after bad? And there you go. I mean, look at around your suburb, what you're competing with. It's not like you're special and unique here, guys. There's lots of other stock. Lots of other stock here in this area, you know? Lots of stock. You're not special. Is the $56 million a mistake? Probably not to the people that are in there. Owners and tenants have been unable to return to their apartments since the building was evacuated. Last month, the cost of repairing the building and repaying a 15-year strata loan escalated to almost $54 million, about $10 million higher than previous estimates. Well, it's the $44 million. Is that good money after bad? I have to make sure we can see everything here, guys. Mr. Tucker said the impact of the pandemic had worsened owners' already dire financial situations. There are a lot of people who are really desperate. Everyone is just so upset. All of this on top of the pandemic, and it's really taking a toll, he said. There are a lot of people who are just not earning any income now, and there are huge debts to pay. The hole is just getting deeper and deeper. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. A lot of people wouldn't have the capacity to actually... They would have got a due diligence done, or a building and pest inspection. They would have noticed a few insignificant things on it, and they would have bought in. You know, they wouldn't have identified all the risks. That's it, isn't it? The whole street is shut down now. They wouldn't have identified the risks. What else could they have done? You know, sure, you can get other experts on board, but then you're spending more money. It's becoming a more costly process. Who's confident enough to buy these things off the plan now? There's still people talking about buying off the plan. And again, I'd argue part of it is the procurement method, but also just the culture in the construction industry, particularly in Sydney. And the fact that our sector is just overheated so much. Look at all these approvals from foreign investors. It just flooded the market, guys. It just flooded the market. And it's just quite sad, actually. These people are in a tough situation, but that's life, I guess. Another owner who did not want to be named said he was considering all courses of action, but the collective sale of the apartment complex would allow him to start his life again. Yeah, I mean, that's it. They're trapped in this situation. I'd love to get rid of it and rebuild my life and rebuild my family's life. We just need to carefully consider the options and decide which way is the best way, he said. Under his repayment scheme, the resident will be forced to pay more than $600,000 for remediation works and a strata loan. Think about that. 600 grand. 600,000 just to get back to where you were. And this is where you've got idiots who are talking about, like, oh, remember all those economists, those property spookers and those, advisors to Julia Gillard who were telling us that the bushfire will be great for the economy. It'll help stimulate Australia's economy. This is the exact same thing. You know, a big disaster, and then you spend all this money. You don't get any further ahead. You get at the same space, but now you've incurred a whole lot of extra debt. And these are the people that are talking to our leaders. Ah, bloody hell. The cost means he and his partner have had to rule out having a second child. Oh, come on, mate. Just do it. Just do it. Kids don't cost that much. Seriously. And this is coming from someone who has 5. The more you have, the more cost effective it is per unit. You need to dollar cost average or child's cost average your kids. We feel robbed, but I guess Sydney's probably a little bit more expensive than Brisbane, eh? We feel robbed of our future and of not having a second child. We really wanted a second child, he said. I feel for him, but that sounds like a cop-out to me. That really does sound like a cop-out. That's hashtag loser thing to me. If you really wanted it, you do it and you make it happen. But I guess, you know, you'd be pretty... Your ego and stress levels would take a huge battering on this situation. A year, guys. A year. This has been going on. An investigation of the options for the building by the Owners Corporation is expected to take about 2 months. The evacuation of Mascot Towers and severe cracking in the Opal Tower in Sydney's Olympic in December 2018 sparked a New South Wales parliamentary inquiry into building standards and the appointment of a building commissioner and measures to protect owners from shoddy building practices. Yes, and they're trying to implement suggestions from the Sherwood Gold report that, Shergold-Weir report. The Shergold-Weir report, I've looked at it in several videos, that was suggested years ago. And then they're failing to mention all the other buildings that have issues. Sugar Cube, Zetland, Otto Rosberry, the Joshua apartment building, just in Sydney. And then we zoom out, you can look altitude. Oh, that was just stupid people there. You got Verve Apartments. That's an interesting one there, to do with the compromising of fire separation that was only discovered due to water leaks. So, and then you go even further out, it's evident in all parts of Australia at the moment. See, this is probably why I've got no confidence in buying these things, because I've read too much, guys. I've read and I'm an architect, so I'm familiar with the industry. So, guys, there we have it. Will this be the final part of the Mascot Towers story? Will they sell the entire building? What do you think they'll get for it? You think it'll just be worth land? Or maybe land minus the demolition cost? Let me know your thoughts and opinions, guys. What would you do in this situation? As always, thank you for sharing. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and you'd like to support us, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube. You can support us via our affiliate links at Amazon or eBay or Independent Reserve and Kucoin. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or you can also use PayPal. Take care, guys. I'll see you in the next video.